One call, a story of dignity that changed everything. She stood confidently behind the gate counter, posture straight as if defending a throne. Megan Halstead had been working for Crosswind Airlines for nearly 14 years, and she had come to believe she could read people the moment they approached her desk. To her, some faces screamed first class, while others simply didn't belong. So when a family of 4 approached the priority boarding lane, polished, respectful, and black, something inside her clicked the wrong way. She didn't smile. She didn't even scan their tickets. Megan merely looked up, her lips tight, and gestured lazily to the distant corner of the terminal. Economy is boarding at Gate 6. The father, Elijah Monroe, remained calm. He wore a navy wool coat and carried a sleek, soft-shell bag over one shoulder. His wife, Camille, stood close, a soft cashmere wrap around her shoulders, holding a golden gift bag tied with white ribbon. Their teenage son Malcolm had the quiet poise of a boarding school student, eyes forward, spine straight. Their younger daughter, Layla, no more than 7, clutched her mother's hand and peeked curiously at the world around her. Camille's voice was gentle. "We have first-class tickets." Megan barely blinked. "I'm sure you do," she replied flatly. "But there must be some mistake. First class is for elite-tier guests." Elijah's eyes didn't flinch. "We're platinum level. Please scan our passes." Annoyed, Megan huffed and took the first ticket. It beeped green. So did the second, and the third, and the fourth. Her expression barely shifted. "The system sometimes glitches," she muttered. "You'll need to wait over there while I confirm." Layla looked up at her mother. "Why can't we go in?" she asked softly. Camille knelt to her level and whispered, "It's okay, sweetheart. Just hold the gift, all right?" Elijah stood still, a picture of composure. "There's nothing to confirm. We have valid seats. You've scanned them. I'm asking you to move aside so I can continue boarding," Megan snapped. "No," Elijah said. "You're refusing us entry for no valid reason." Tension stirred around them. A businessman behind them lowered his phone but didn't stop watching. A woman further back whispered, her eyes darting between the gate and the family. Megan leaned in. "If you make this more difficult, you won't be boarding at all." Elijah stepped back, calmly took out his phone, and made a single call. He spoke quietly. "Yes, Gate 4. She's refusing to board us. All 4 tickets scanned. No cause given." Megan scoffed loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "Of course," she muttered. "Always a phone call." Then the gate phone rang. Paul, the young assistant beside her, picked it up. His demeanor shifted instantly. "Yes, sir. Yes, I understand." He hung up, turned to Megan, and said, "You need to stop boarding. Supervisor's coming." "What are you talking about?" she hissed. "Hold the flight," he repeated. Now, everything stopped. The murmurs around them grew louder. Everyone had seen the skin lights turn green. Everyone had heard Megan's tone. Minutes later, 2 men appeared at the end of the jet bridge, one in a dark blue suit, the other in a red-striped operations jacket. Passengers stepped aside to get a better look. "Miss Halstead," the man in the suit said. His name badge read David Warren, Regional Director, Crosswind Airlines. "Step away from the counter." "There's been a mistake," Megan started. "This family tried to..." "Did you check their tickets?" "2 of them," she muttered. "Were they valid?" "Yes, but..." "You thought wrong," David said. "Paul, confirm." Paul pointed to the manifest. "All 4 seats confirmed. Row 1A through 1D. David nodded to Luis, the operations supervisor. "Let them through." "First." Megan stood frozen. Her authority had dissolved without a single raised voice. Elijah nodded to Paul as they passed. Camille guided Layla forward, still holding the gift. Malcolm followed silently. Not one of them looked at Megan, but their silence rang louder than any protest. Inside the aircraft, the flight attendants had just finished preparing first class. The scent of citrus cleanser lingered in the air. Pillows were fluffed, headphones tucked into crisp linen. Lead flight attendant Sarah Lane glanced up as the family entered. Something about them caught her breath, not because they looked upset, but because they didn't. They looked like they were waiting for the world to realize what it had just witnessed. Paul leaned in and whispered what had happened. Denied boarding. A call was made. Someone very high up responded. Immediate override. No argument. "Who are they?" Sarah asked. "He didn't say," Paul replied. "But someone said he owns a controlling share." Sarah turned her gaze toward Elijah, who was now helping Camille settle Layla into her seat. Malcolm placed his bag overhead and adjusted his blazer. Their movements were graceful, poised, as if they were always meant to be there. Back at the gate, Megan was no longer working the flight. Luis had given her a single command: step away. You've been pulled from duty pending review. She sat at the crew jump seat, arms crossed, jaw tight. Her phone buzzed with a message from HR. Administrative hearing scheduled. Incident review in progress. She didn't move. Up in the cockpit, Captain James Riley received a direct call routed from corporate headquarters. The voice on the other end didn't introduce himself. Captain Riley, confirm. For passengers seated in 1A through 1D? Yes. All boarded and seated. You are not to disembark crew upon landing. Legal and HR will be waiting. The man who made the call is Elijah Monroe. He signed the last fleet expansion contract. He's the airline's primary investor. The silence after that spoke volumes. Captain Riley set the receiver down slowly. Well, he muttered to himself. Now we know. Back in first class, Sarah offered Elijah a drink. He smiled politely. You've done enough. Thank you. She nodded and stepped away, hands shaking slightly. Meanwhile, Megan stared at the cockpit door, stomach sinking. She knew what was coming, even before the final call came through. The message from corporate ethics arrived at 39,000 feet. Hold Ms. Halstead after landing. Escort to Administrative Division. Formal termination pending review of pattern-based misconduct. Incident captured on passenger video. By the time the aircraft landed, the media already knew. Hashtags had started trending. Hashtag one call. Hashtag dignity doesn't yell. Hashtag crosswind gate 4. And when security walked Megan off the plane, no one clapped. No one screamed. They just watched. Elijah didn't gloat. Camille didn't smirk. Malcolm looked at her with quiet disappointment. Layla simply held her mother's hand and whispered, "Why did she do that, Mommy?" Camille kissed her forehead. Some people don't see you until they have to. At the terminal, Megan sat in a sterile conference room, facing Ethan Briggs from HR. Her badge, uniform, and access card sat in a tray beside her. You're not being terminated because of who Mr. Monroe is, Ethan said calmly. You're being terminated because you acted with bias, broke procedure, and embarrassed this company publicly. That call didn't change your future. Your judgment did. Outside, the Moore family exited the terminal with quiet dignity. A small crowd had gathered. Some whispered. Others stared. But no one blocked their path. Because now, everyone knew who they were. And more importantly, they knew what they stood for. They had asked for nothing. They had raised no voices. They had demanded no special treatment. They simply stood their ground and made one phone call. And in a world too often ruled by loud power, that was enough to change everything.